Welcome to our Advent calendar, a project of St. Thomas à Becket Church, Ramsey. Yesterday, we looked at God's friends becoming a people, the people of Israel, and they lived a long history and they had a great king. King David is the archetype of the monarchs of Israel. Jesus himself was called the Son of David. But that doesn't mean that everything went right for David or that he was always good. And I'm going to look today at an episode in his life that does him no credit. The point is that he was still the great king, even though he was a sinner. But let's look at the image. I picked this because it's decent. There are a lot of pictures of Bathsheba bathing, painted by the great masters and so forth, that strike me as frankly pornographic. This image is about David being a peeping Tom. There he is up on the top right-hand corner, watching the lady taking her bath. And I don't know about you, but I didn't fancy being brigaded with him as another peeping Tom by looking at that kind of art. David caused so much heartache for himself and others. He wanted to marry Bathsheba. He'd seen her with no clothes on and he wanted her. He murdered her husband, and their child did in the end become King Solomon. But the result of David taking this second wife was constant rebellion and warfare, which brought him to his older age in grief. Our choices and actions in life have consequences. And this is part of the moral order. I talked at the beginning about the orderliness of the world and how we see God's character through that. So God has called a people to be his friend. He called David to be his friend. And yet David was a very broken and wicked person. So there's something missing in this framework. God has tried to create a people for himself to be his friends, through which he would bring the whole of humanity back to himself. And it isn't working. He hasn't changed their hearts. From next week, we'll look at God's new plan, through which he looked to transform and revive his plan by coming to be with us himself. But tomorrow, Sunday, I would invite you to join with us through our online service or in church if that's what you do. So the Advent calendar resumes on Monday. Bye-bye.